You're on.
All right, how's everyone doing today? We're Group 7, and our game is called RescueMe. I'm Adam Gaudet. We also have Chelsea, Jason, and Arvind. So we're going to give you a little bit of a summary. This is pretty much the stuff from our first presentation, just to refresh your memory on what our game was. It's called RescueMe, and it's basically an animal shelter management game. You're in charge of an animal shelter, animals show up, and it's your job to take care of them while they're there and try to get them adopted. So you're gathering donations while you're playing. You can buy animal food, and you can buy toys for them to play with. It's your job to walk them and to clean them and just keep everything up. We're planned for the future to implement some mini games and also to introduce premium gameplay. And something else to note, we actually have a client for this game. So a lot of the specs we're requesting back here. Some of our game features, the game environment is constantly changing. The animals have different personalities, traits that we call them. Right now we have 5 implemented, and so throughout the gameplay, their traits change, and it's your job to manage those and to keep them happy. There's different ways that you can have animals adopted. So this keeps it interesting. They have to be happy to get them adopted, so you can't just let them sit there and get sick. They have to be clean and well fed and walk constantly and be happy when the customers are coming in to look at them, and that way they'll get adopted. And we made it so that they have to conform to some real life problems that you would face in an animal shelter, such as size restraints on the side of the shelter, not being able to put too many animals in the same cage, and also making it so that they can get sick. So those are all things that you have to watch out for. Some of the AI stuff that we've implemented or plan to implement in the next week and a half is obstacle avoidance and pathfinding. That's going to be for the people that come in to be the animals, to be able to walk around the cages, and depending on who they're closest to, that's the one they'll be potentially adopting. We also have finite state machines, so depending on their traits, you kind of filter through a bunch of different little graphics that display how they're feeling and stuff like that. So if it's happy, nice little happy looking dog. If it's sick, and looks like he's sick, doesn't want to play, stuff like that. We also have a trigger system, so that every time that you click on an action, basically, so you can feed them and stuff like that, the traits respond to that, which you'll see in our demo. And we also have some filtered randomness, so all the animals aren't the same. They have different graphics for some of them, and also the traits are all random. So when they're generated, their stuff changes at a different rate, so that way it's not the same game that you play every time. And we also have emotions, so you'll notice if the dog's happy, if it's sad, if it's not feeling good, if it has to go out to the bathroom and stuff like that. And so this is our basic game information that you'll see on the cover that we're going to be making. It's a management type game. Our target audience is really anybody that likes that style of game, and also for our client, which is a student in the vet college. It's E for everybody. There's no gory graphics, no stuff that you wouldn't want your child to see. Our graphics right now are 2D, but we have hoped to upgrade that a little bit to 2.5 or possibly 3D. And our platform is the Android phone. So I'm going to hand it over to Chelsea, who's going to talk a little bit about our AI and game development stuff.
All right, so the tool we ended up deciding on in order to develop this game was Studio, and we chose it mainly because it's free, and a lot of other Android developing tools have pretty steep prices to actually push the game to the market. But Gideros is free, and it supports Android and iPhone, Apple, etc. Development. And Gideros uses Lua. And Studio was good because it was free, but it doesn't have a huge amount of pre-made stuff. It has kind of a basic sprite implementation and some basic images, sounds, really just the basics. So we ended up having to do quite a bit of coding on our own. All of our states and objects and everything was hand-coded from scratch by us. So it was quite a lot of work. And the game features we actually ended up implementing here, I'm going to give you some more specifics, are a constantly changing animal environment with new visitors arriving all the time that are little NPC people. We have new animals arriving on the screen at sort of random intervals. There's a 0.01 chance of an animal arriving on the screen at any time. we have adoptions of animals, which are sort of a weighted random scale with the happier, so that the happier that your animals are, the happier that your average happiness is, makes a higher chance of an adopted event occurring. And that's how you earn money and sustain yourself. And here's a little bit of what our animal personalities include. They include the traits of hunger, bathroom, dirtiness, sickness, and sadness, which you have to keep down by pressing these buttons, as you can see, and you'll see better in the demo.
Okay, so I'll just expand a little bit on the EI components that we actually covered. So the first one is the finite state constraints, which is basically whichever state the animal is in. So if an animal is both hungry and it wants to go to the bathroom, whichever one is higher, it is represented to be in that state. Then we have trigger systems, which is like directly correlated to the FSMs, because the states are changing based on the triggers as which state it is in, and it moves to the next state based on the triggers. We have filtered randomness, which was mentioned earlier also, which is basically how the animals are generated, the kind of traits they have, the levels of the trait, and the adoptions based on the percentage of happiness, and how that is also random. And the last thing we have, which is emotions. Emotions are based on all the other traits. So if an animal is really hungry, it's not going to be as happy as an animal who's well fed. And stuff we have planned for the future is firstly that the NPC and animal arrivals will be changing. So that will like vary the level of difficulty, which will cater to the flow of the game. The second thing is that we want to implement a grid system to streamline object placement, which is basically like how you can place cages around the animal shelter, so that you have like a snap to grid for that. Another thing is that we're going to increase the randomness, that within a particular breed also, there could be different kinds of dogs. Like one, we have like a schnauzer implemented, so like one schnauzer would be like really active and like gets hungry really fast, and another one maybe not so much. So that each animal is unique in itself. And we will be having more traits to simulate more real-life animals. Like we will be giving gender to each of them, so that if they're both in the same cage, they have to be fixed so that they don't reproduce. And now Jason's going to show you the net.
Hi guys, so now you have a description of what our game's like, and hopefully I'm going to get our demo running. So this is Gadara Studios, this is what we've developed, and it has a pretty good emulator that it shows up with. And so Adam's done all these incredibly amazing graphics for us. This is our setting that we have. Right now there's no grid system, so everything is kind of statically placed, and it's just a background image, but that will hopefully change by the game demo next Monday. So we can move around the background. This is inside the shelter. We have a couple cages here. There's not really graphics for those yet. And that one's on a wall. So here's an NPC, he's walking around, he's coming to look at the animals to adopt. And we can click on this dog. So this is a schnauzer, his name is Voodoo. And right now he's really dirty, as you can see by his sprite there. So I want to bathe him. I don't have any soap, I can't bathe him. So I have to go to the shop. And it's a dog, so I want a dog item. Let's buy some shampoo. Are you sure you want to? Yes. And now I can bathe him. And he's no longer dirty. So that's kind of a trait that we've implemented. We've implemented all of these traits, so we can buy some food, some toys to play with him, some medicine so he doesn't get so sick, and a leash so we can walk him. And now we can see he's holding a bowl in his mouth. This dog is hungry, so let's feed him. So he fed him, and now his highest trait is bathroom. He really has to go to the bathroom, so we're going to walk him. So it's kind of just, right now the traits are going up very quickly for kind of testing purposes, so we can see, feeding him does this. Obviously when you feed a dog, you don't have to feed him 10 times for him to actually not be hungry anymore. But these are the traits. You can play with him, and his sadness will go down as well as his sickness because he's more active. So those are the traits that are implemented. We have some statistics on the dogs. Right now we have 7 animals. We have 7 dogs, sorry, and 2 cats, 9 animals. No animals have been adopted yet. But if we look at the animals tab, we can see that this NPC has come around and 3 animals want to be adopted. So there's Sadie, which is a Shiba, Voodoo, which is the one we were just looking at, and Hamlet. These are both challengers. So we click on that, and we are told that an animal is adopted. Right now it's just through the text down here in the player, but we haven't told the player that it's adopted yet. And we're granted $50 for the animal being adopted. So right now that's what we have. Animals are coming at a random rate. As you can see here, we have 7 animals left. We start off with 5, so you have a 1% chance every second that a new animal is going to come. And like we said before, we kind of want to change that every once in a while. So as you progress through the game, more animals come more often, or if you're not doing too well, they're going to come less often, so you can manage those ones before more come. And that's what we have.
Questions?
This I might seem a little bit out there, but do y'all ever consider maybe with your client at the vet school, like connecting the animals in the game to the actual animals in the shelter to sort of make it a little more personal?
No, we never actually thought about that because they've kind of just, the client that we have is from the animal shelter, and then they're also talking to someone from Mattel who wanted the game produced. So it's, I mean, I guess we could try that. A lot of what we were asked to do was in-app purchases, which we could kind of sell things to the players, like sell bigger cages or something like that, and sell those for real money, and the purchases would go to the actual animal shelters. But we never actually thought about linking it to real animals.
Also, another reason why it's not linked is because this game is primarily to teach students how to manage a shelter. So first they have to get the hang of managing virtual animals, and then they can move on to real animals.
Does the amount of sorry, go ahead.
You said you had your content to include in-app purchases. Are you using the tapping platform to do that, or like any particular? Is there anything that you were using to do that?
Gadaris has sort of a built-in support. Right now it's only for iPhone for in-app purchases, but on their timeline they're hoping to get it out for Android as well. So it's kind of just a streamlined interface that you can use as a developer where people can play it through. Obviously they have to have a credit card assigned for their Android anyways, so it goes through that.
I was going to ask, does the amount of money you get when an animal is adopted have any impact based on their stats at the time? You got $50 for like when the dog is adopted, but like if they were, say, perfectly happy, would you get more money?
Not right now, it just changes their rate of adoption. So a happier dog is more likely to get adopted than one that's sick or sad. So, but you get the same money for all of them.
So
Okay, well, when you buy like something, how many times do you do this? Like, you bought a leash, do you now have a leash permanently and you do this forever?
So the way it's implemented right now, you can buy dog food and it feeds the dog 10 times. You can buy a leash and you can walk a dog 10 times. Obviously that's unrealistic. We're going to try and make it even more like 50 times before your leash breaks. But it's, like as we said, for testing purposes, it goes down a lot faster. But you're going to be forced to purchase more things.
And are those associated with the animal, or are they just general items that you
They're
get?
general.
Okay.
So you can buy dog food and feed 10 dogs once or 1 dog 10 times.
I was going to ask, I know you mentioned with the animals disappearing with that 1% chance, but if an animal's adopted, I guess there are certain criteria for adoption, and then there's some randomness as to whether they get adopted. Do they just disappear off the screen, or what happens there?
Right now, that's all that happens, yes.
How did you implement the graphics about the dogs in the past? You guys draw them?
Yeah.
And through every single one.
What does the client think?
Hmm?
What does the client think?
Did she
Yeah, I
respond?
mean, we're happy with whatever we have so far, but we just sent them like the latest updated codes and they're still going through that. So we're waiting for response.
Any others? Okay, I don't think so.